Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. One of the big topics of conversation in this off-season is which SMGs remaining on the market are going to be the hottest prospects. Shotzzy says that absolutely 100% guarantees if teams are not signing Huke now, they need to put pen to paper and get it done very quickly indeed. He was a big part of the OpTic team's revival last season. Shotzzy, having played with him for some time, says he's hands down the best teammate you could ever want. Will other teams follow suit on this proposal? Very much enjoy to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Let's dive straight in. Firstly, thought this is pretty cool. You guys might have seen this, that FaZe Ksan, who joins them a little while ago now, who's a music producer, has made probably a fair bit of money doing that with Future, Lil Durk and other big artists, is set to pay whatever to become a minority owner in FaZe. He joined as a creator. You guys probably know this name for some time, and he's actually big into the CDL. I'm pretty sure he was on Zoomer's watch party a fair bit during that. So this could be pretty interesting for what this means in the future, and we'll see if we get any sort of collaborations here, because as Gersh says, the COD community needs a collab with Donny Temp, who just recently released his new album, I believe, and yeah, Temp's like, yeah, I'm with it, like, let's get this sorted. So that'd be an interesting collab if it happens. I'm also wondering, like, what is the game that the players are going to play this off-season? I wonder if they're going to wait for X-Defiant and see how that goes when that arrives, because as it stands, the players seem to be struggling to find what to play. Cold War Chal's fine, like, Cold War's a fun game, but you can only play so much of it, especially these old CODs, and there's only so much you can do. Yes, these old school games, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 on Xbox 360 are now playable again, as we've talked about over the last few days, given the servers are now back online, it seems, on the Microsoft side, on the Xbox side. Wonder why that might be, right, with the merger going down. But as aBeZy's like 4 more months of this offseason, what am I going to play? And even Shotzzy says on this podcast we're going to look at here in a second, I'm not going to share the clip of it, but he said early on that the gaming scene is kind of dead for what to play. There's not that much to do. I've seen people playing Among Us, right? We've had the OpTic guys doing that over the last few days, so running that back a little bit. I saw aBeZy and co playing some Counter-Strike, which is, you know, just a phenomenal game. And in fairness, Counter-Strike 2 is coming out relatively soon as well. I guess we'll go in full screen mode here for this 1 versus 4 from aBeZy. Yeah, nice first shot. Wow, the second shot was actually really nice. And then we've got one default. The other guy's going to be ramp maybe or something. I know he's actually underpass. You just saw him there, or under the balcony. Has to find the final one, no kit as well, so you got a few seconds to get this one done. But yeah, I love this game, but you know, there's only so much you can play for the players this offseason, right? And he finds the final one as well and gets the defuse just in time on that pistol round. So I wonder whether maybe X-Defiant or something. We know that Hitch is going to throw the throwback tourneys probably. He's got the big one coming up in a little while with the Black Ops 2 tournament, but wonder if he's going to throw some more Modern Warfare 2 throwback stuff. It's definitely on the cards, but it's just a really long offseason compared to what we're used to, I think, because if it was a 2-year cycle of this game, the next season could have started in probably October time, right? And they could have brought the start of the season way further back. But the fact that there is actually a new game coming out now just means the off-season is longer than really it should have been, I would argue. But anyway, let's dive into Rostermania, because the question to me is, with all the top teams being formed as they are, which players are going to be signed from an SMG perspective to the other teams? If you're a team looking to get Priester, looking to get Slasher, because that's probably the duo that is most in high demand. Maybe Boston will go for it, maybe Surge, maybe Rokkr will go for it, but if that is a duo, as we believe that it might well be, they will be talking to lots of different teams. But if you are going to build around those guys, which SMGs do you put around them? There aren't too many options left. The top SMGs, the Preds, the Shotzys, of course Simp and aBeZy, Hydra Kismet, and then CleanX Envoy are all on the top 4 teams in theory. So where do you go next? This is where Shotzzy says you go to Huke, hands down. If you can sign him, which you can, he's an unrestricted free agent, you've got to get him locked in.
Bro, I was running some dog shit. I was running like smoke fucking trophy or some dog shit. I was put on like literally the bitch roll. And then once like, Kyler's a good teammate, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Kyler was like, yo, just throw in dead silence. Like, I'll take the smoke. I'll take trophy. Kyler's such a good teammate. Like, I respect the fuck out of Kyler. Kyler and I mean, honestly, all those guys, bro. Like, that entire Dallas Empire squad, I fuck with the most. But nah, Porter was something in Cold War. But like,
He was what?
He was something in Cold War. Like, he was like, he was interesting in Cold War. But in Modern Warfare, he was literally like the best teammate. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
He just because he just had that like the redemption. Like, he got dropped from OpTic. He felt some type of way.
And then the rest is history, huh?
And then we won an event with Seth, the first event. I'm just glad I won.
Yeah, I think I was there. Was it here?
It's right here.
At the Esports
yeah.
stadium around?
I'm glad that I won an event with Seth. That's all I'll say. I'm glad.
Yeah, let's get
This
into
guy's the fucking good, dude.
to wrap this up. Let's get into some questions. Favorite COD teammate? Was it Seth?
Shit, dude. Seth is fucking. I've only teamed with him a year. That's so selfish to say, like Seth. I don't know. I love Ender. I love teaming with Ender. Like, bro, if Kyler, Ender, Seth, like they're all in a group, bro. Like they're all in like their own group. Like those guys, like I would team with them any day of the month.
But if you had to pick one,
that's so fucking hard, bro.
I feel like Seth.
Listen. If I team with Seth for more years, I would 100% say Seth. But since I team with Kyler for what 2-3 years or something like that, or 2 years, 2.5, because like we dropped in a quarter or whatever, I'd say Kyler. Kyler, yo, when is this shit dropping? 5 days.
Probably in like
I'm telling you right fucking now.
Maybe even
anyone
this week,
that is not picking up Kyler, I'm telling you right now, he is literally the best teammate. He's literally the best teammate, bro, I've ever fucking had. No bullshit. And if you guys like, you just have to trust the process, trust in him, and
think all the COD kids are watching this right now.
I mean, probably not, but like it'll probably get posted somewhere.
Not all the COD kids,
but dude, he's just. I love Kyler.
It's a very high praise there for Huke, and I think for good reason from Shotzzy's perspective, right? Team with Huke for a long time, especially during the Modern Warfare 2019 days, when Huke, let's not forget, took a big, I think he took $100,000 pay cut so that Envy could afford to pay $300,000 to buy Shotzzy out of his contract with Splice and Toronto Ultras it was, going into at the time. To team together, clearly they get on very well. Shotzzy and Huke's record as a duo is pretty emphatic, actually, from back in the Modern Warfare days, even through to this past season, when, especially online, they were really good. They seemed to get the best out of each other at times, but still, they made the call to drop Huke. At the end of the day, they think they can upgrade there, the Warlords at it again, and it makes sense. If you get Pred in, I think that team should be better on paper. Huke did have his inconsistencies, especially on LAN, but he was much better in the OpTic environment with a better team, but also better team culture, better team chemistry, better teammates than he was on the Los Angeles Guerrillas right at the start of the season, when individually, okay, it was only 2-2, he only played about 4 series, but was nowhere near as impressive here as he was for some stints, especially some of the search and destroy play that he had during, was it Major 4 qualifiers, was just insane from Huke. So his ceiling is very high. Obviously, we know that he makes individual mistakes, but in fairness, if you are making a team with Slasher and Priest there, you need someone that can kind of hold Huke on a leash a little bit more, and I'm not so sure that the team that they had with Dashy and Shotzzy and Ghosty is necessarily in the position to do exactly that, right? We know that some of the mistakes that Huke made this season, there was a notable one on Embassy where he went for a long flank and it was heavily criticised by Karma, who was not yet the coach of the team, but he did become the coach of the team, and Nameless at the time, and then the big one of the World Championship when he didn't hold the mid-alley, Kismet just came running through and got all the kills, and they lost the game. Moments like that, if Huke just gets those decisions right, then OpTic's season probably looks quite significantly different. Certainly that one of the World Championship. They would have at least taken New York to Game 5. Things could have been very different. So there are some issues with Huke as an individual. It's the same thing with Standy in some sense. Like, Standy and Huke would be an unreal SMG duo online, right? That's as far as I'm concerned. Like, I think they'd be super good online. But on LAN, Standy and Huke, you've got your questions, right? When the game slows down a little bit, when there's big decisions in big moments to be made, you need a good coaching staff, you need a good IGL, AR on your team to make that work as far as I'm concerned. But nonetheless, Huke, Standy, Afro, probably a couple of others are the top SMGs in theory. And Shotzzy's like, look, you've got to sign these guys. And it makes sense. You look at all these rosters, there aren't too many things that we know for sure. There's some theories. Okay, actually, even on Jacob L's spreadsheet, we still got Kenny on Thieves, despite the fact that that is most certainly not the case. But loads of these teams still need everyone, and a lot of these teams still need somebody. These are then some of the SMG options you have out there. So we know where Pred's going. Mack, we don't know right now. So, and Mack even maybe I would say is, I don't know personally if he's best suited to the SMG role. I think he was at his best in Modern Warfare 19 when he was actually a flex, but that's probably another conversation. Kismet, we know he's locked down. So these are your options really. You've got Fame, you've got Real, right? Potentially. You've got Vivid and Nero from the Boston guys. Those are 2 targets that I think would certainly be up there. So I think like Huke and Standy and Afro and Nero would be at the top of my my list, I think. So we've got TJ as well, then Standy, Nero, Bance, Afro. I'm just talking SMGs. Gwyn can certainly run that role and definitely has a potential high upside. Hicksy, we've got Havoc. Capsule is another name that I should have mentioned earlier, but I haven't so far. So, you know, this is pretty much your options, right? Exceed, Aseem, and then, you know, Nasty is more of a flex, really. Kremp is probably another option as well, recently released by the Boston guys themselves. So that's pretty much your lot when it comes to SMG talent. Where do you go? If you're a team trying to build around a couple of ARs, because the SMG is at times the lifeblood of your team, and you need a good combination there. Like Nero, I think would be a good starting point for some teams, but you're going to need someone else alongside him who can do a bit more slaying. It may be a guy like an Afro, but if you bring Huke on, then who do you build around him? So some big questions there, but I think that Shotzzy gives a lot of credit to Huke for good reason. Says that between himself, between Huke and iLLeY and Scump, it's difficult to say who was his favorite ever teammate. He actually gives it to Kyler, right? He gives it to Huke. He says that if he'd have teamed with Scump for a bit longer, he would have probably given it to Scump. And he says that I think he still believes that the highest ever ceiling of a teammate that he teamed with was Crim6 back in the Modern Warfare days when Crim was coming for blood after getting dropped from OpTic Texas, or getting dropped from OpTic Gaming, of course it was. Not OpTic Texas yet at the time. And then over the coming months, going into Cold War, Kaiser got dropped, things got changed, well, not really dropped, but they had to drop somebody because it went from 5v5 to 4v4, and Crim changed somewhat as a teammate during that season, and therefore Shotzzy was, you know, not wanting to team with him any longer going forward, and then the merger happened, and Crim found his way out of the team, even though there was a chance, if Crim was a better teammate that year, there was a chance that he was on OpTic Texas instead of Dashy, because that was the question that they had to weigh up. I think Scump and Crim were kind of down for that opportunity, but Rambo, iLLeY, Shotzzy were like, no, we're not teaming with Crim again. He was a nightmare last year. Let's not bring him back, which probably was the correct decision in hindsight, right? Because I don't know where Dashy would be if that had been the case. Speaking of those guys, then, just wanted to close out the video with this from Brian Stats. Which duo competed at the most events? Back in the day, there used to be way more events, like actually plays. For example, we look at Simp and aBeZy. 31 events these guys have played together, and I'm pretty sure, like, they're not far off the longest teaming duo ever. They're not there yet. Scump and Crim6 still hold the record for that of, like, well over 4 years. But, I mean, we're getting up to that point for Simp and aBeZy because they first started teaming in 2019. We're now 4 and a bit years, I think, for them as well. So that's a big one. And also, I think that Simp, aBeZy, and Cell just became the longest ever teaming trio together, I think. So that's a record that they are maintaining. But still, like, they've teamed for 4+ years. They've only played 31 events together. Scump and Formal have 51, which is kind of including the Modern Warfare days when Crim6 was gone. Formal came back into the Huntsman. Scump and Crim with 45, Karma and Crim at 43, Aches and TP at 38, one of the real OG duos. It's kind of nice to see, actually, just the duos listed out like this, because Scump and Formal is considered to be one of the top duos, but then you've got Aches and TP, Zuma and Attach. Those are some of the other top duos. Octane and Slacked as well. Didn't even really appreciate how long these guys teamed together. Some of it was the disastrous Modern Warfare days, but some of it was actually on the LG team where they did so well. 31 events for those two. Arcitys, Bustini at 30. Just how many events? There were so many events back in the day, you know. Even Killer and Miracle still make it on air at 27, and then still more of the FaZe guys at 27 events between those guys. So that's pretty much where we are. Assuming next year are 6 major events, Simp and aBeZy would tie Attach and Zuma at number 5 all time, unless they break apart, which would be wild, and let's be honest, it's not going to happen. But very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.